Vegan Leather is here. They are the winners of the Buffalo for Hour Film Project, and they have Summer Lost here. You gotta check out this episode. Hey everybody, I'm Jordan Lemur from Lemur Studios and the Buffalo 48-Hour Film Project. I'm here with Vegan Leather, the winners of the Buffalo 48-Hour Film Project, and this is going to be a great show. So, first of all, you won. How does it feel to win the Buffalo 48-Hour Film Project?
We didn't expect it, honestly. I mean, we felt good about the film itself and what we did with it, but you know, we weren't thinking like, hey, we were going to win all these awards and then we were going to win Best Film. We were just like, hey, we have a good submission. There's a lot of good competition.
First time working together, how did it go?
Surprisingly well. I mean, we expected it to go that way, but you know, you never know. When you're actually on set, you know, ideas can collide or they can blossom.
And they did both.
And they did a little bit of both, mostly blossom, I think. We were on the same page. I was expecting some kind of resistance in some kind of form, not from him, but like overall, like maybe people are going to be throwing in their ideas here and there. And for me, it was like, okay, how are we going to bypass that, or how are we going to add that in a practical way? Because it's a team thing, not so much, you know, one guy is just in charge, you know.
Well, it's true. You got to manage that. That's a hard thing, because when you're directing and you're producing, sometimes external input, let's just phrase it this way, it better be great input, because otherwise it's like, I'm really trying to do something here, and you're kind of getting in my way a little bit. So that's really hard to manage.
And I think that's a good point, because one thing that Michael and I have kind of bonded over the past couple of years is that we're both very tired of having to do everything. You know?
There's a lot of trust. You had to factor in, there was a lot of trust, and you had to really know what that person's strengths and what their weaknesses is. So like you could know when you needed to pick up that slack. I mean, truth be told, we just didn't even have an actual written script. We're like, this needs to feel organic, it needs to feel real. If we're gonna go for like this documentary style film, nothing can feel staged, nothing can feel artificial, so.
And that's really hard. In my line of work, I do a lot of documentary production, documentary style production. And having it be scripted, people don't deliver it naturally. Like you have to have it be off the cuff. And I can only imagine with actors that are good at improvising and can do that, you're gonna get a better result than having someone regurgitate lines and try to put the emotion in it versus just doing their thing.
Well, and that's a big thing with John and Lisa. So, you know, like I said, like Michael was doing all the technical stuff, the setup. Everybody was kind of conversing about thought process on this or that. But that's what I did a lot of with John and with Lisa. Well over 10 years I've worked with both of them.
That was a shocking thing for me, is that he knew what they were capable of. I did not. It was my first time meeting them. So as I was watching them perform, because all it really was, like Aaron and I, we had this idea. We're like, okay, we know where we want this to go. So how do we get them to those certain points, right? So it was like, all right, we have these established talking points, these things that they need to say at some point within everything that they have to sort of improv to get us to where we need to go.
We couldn't have done everything as well as we did without the group, without the team, and that's super important.
I mean, hands down, there were two things that I knew that we needed to make this thing work. Was the abduction scene needs to be sellable, right? It needs to feel real for the most part, and then the acting.
It felt great.
The acting needed to be there. So I was like, if we don't have both of these, we're screwed. This isn't going to work.
Specifically, your actors here, I get chills every time I watch that scene. Going to the door, like you feel the fear that he's acting. He's putting it out there, and I think every time I watched it, it gave me a chill, which is pretty successful to me. That's pretty amazing. So you do have a vocal cameo in the piece, and you know, you play the director of the film inside the film.
Ron, if Summer is still out there, what message would you send her now?
And you know, how did your acting experience going into it help you to direct other actors?
I was able to really, you know, encourage their performances because sometimes even very good actors can't do it kind of on the spot. So the real trick was, and Michael can attest to this too, I mean, the real trick was that I never left character, because it's the benefit of them. Because if you're reading with someone and you're not really focused, it's never going to be as good of an audition or a response like this.
I'm going to run with Lisa here, who won Best Female Actress in this whole thing. what a valuable asset. Her performance too was really riveting. I mean, you watch her and you don't think she's acting. You think it's a documentary, and you think that this phenomenon just happened. So that was very, very impressive.
But when we were still looking for a few people to fill in the gaps in our team, she immediately sought me out because, again, we have that trust, we have the friendship, that knowledge of each other. And so I told him, I said, look, it doesn't matter what we do. We have Lisa, so we've got something that's 100%. Awesome. And John has an acting background, but John doesn't do a ton of acting anymore.
He said to me afterward, after the award show, he was pretty overjoyed.
Yeah,
and he said, you know, in town, I don't really act a lot anymore, and I really don't. And this was amazing for me to get this. So it's just, I don't know, the power of the 48 brings people together and has this stuff happen. Another awesome thing about what you guys had going on is it was a mixed media piece. It wasn't just with one camera. There's cell phones involved, there's all sorts of stuff. So it has like a documentary feel of this stuff that was captured by the family, stuff that was captured by a family in trouble. What was that process like for you to incorporate cell phones and not traditional cameras?
Well, that was a challenge for me because I had to go up against my pride as far as aesthetics go. So I was like, okay, we need to serve the integrity of the story here. So by doing that, I know that this is a sci-fi piece, but also needs to be a documentary style, but also like this found footage style kind
with
of
tomatoes.
With tomatoes.
Yes.
You know, I just whipped out my cell phone and I said, okay, we're gonna be shooting, like the kitchen scene was a one-take shot.
It's one
that kitchen scene, I feel like, is one of the scenes where Ari was shining the most because it felt so natural. It felt like a family. It didn't feel like actors in a room. It felt like she was, having fun, busting on her dad a little bit.
She made a real connection with them there. She just, and that's, I mean, that was one take.
That was the take, and they're like, do you want to do another? I said, no, because if we do another one, it's going to feel artificial. It's going to feel staged. You guys are going to probably overdo it or something. This was perfect.
Because I was sitting back at that point. Michael actually had the phone, and he was whoever was holding it. And I'm sitting back, more towards the table where Lisa gets interviewed, and I'm just kind of watching the whole thing and looking at it almost like as a stage production at that point. And when they finished, I just walk up to him and I'm like, that's it. And he just sees, you know what I mean? And
a lot of people thought like the characters were holding the cell phone. It was actually me the whole time. So the timing of everything working out the way that it did, especially when I had the phone look at John's character, when he looks at the phone and he makes fun of himself or whatever. Everything was just perfect. And I was like, there's no way we are going to, make this happen again the way that it did.
TheMySpace.com.
That was
so funny.
Yeah. You guys.
Hey, is this MySpace.com? Is that what this is? Can I, yeah. And that's all them. That's all them. I mean, all the real credit there goes to all three of them. They just did it.
That's amazing.
They just did it.
So this is a true success story of the Hour Film Project, not just in winning, but in the relationship that's formed because, you guys hadn't worked together and now you do, and you're working on a lot of stuff. So it's just really amazing. That's what we're trying to do.
And we dress alike, apparently.
And man. It's awesome to have you guys on here. We're going to put a lot of links in the description, past work, your companies, everything you're doing, and you got to read those links in the description, and you got to check out the winning film of the Buffalo Hour Film Project.
Some are lost.